I think black people are waking up.
I think
Black
so
people
as
are
well.
waking up.
It's just
Yeah.
the women. You gotta get the women.
Well, what do we got? We got to get maybe Candace to run as a VP.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Facts Over Feelings, where we're here today at the Turning Point USA AmericaFest with 20,000 Patriots, and the energy is just absolutely incredible. But what I'm really excited about is these two guys here, one of which is a brother from another mother, Mr. Carlos Reyes, and he's a good friend. He's a self-made entrepreneur. He's a multi-million-dollar real estate investor, the founder of All In Nation. He's trained thousands of aspiring entrepreneurs from humble beginnings coming to America as an immigrant with the goal to chase the American dream, which he has done, and he's helped so many other people do that. And then we have Mr. Bobby Sauce over here, a conservative comedian, cultural commentator, and a social media personality that's just taking the world by storm. Gentlemen, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for
great to
having
have
us.
you. Appreciate it. Yeah, what I like to start off is maybe each one of you can tell a little bit more about your backstory and your unique American dream.
I love it. I love it. So this is beautiful. You got a Mexican and an Italian,
Yeah,
right?
I'm
on
a,
one
I'm
show,
a little everything.
right? Yeah, so that's cool. Right? First is the first for everything, right? So why don't you let it rip first, man?
Well, I was born and raised in Connecticut. Started building websites when I was about 16 years old. Started a web development business, became an entrepreneur, moved to Florida to get out of the cold.
I love it. What part of Florida are you in?
I live in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm in Sarasota.
There we go. Once I got down there, I started making videos leading up to the election, not really knowing what would happen to them. And I had a video that went viral about 3 months before the 2020 election, and I decided that this might be a calling. Started making videos every day until the election. By then, I had 30 or 40,000 followers, and I've made videos ever since. My version of the American dream is basically just being in control of my own time and realizing that I can control my own destiny. And if I just put in the hard work and focus and be interested, feel I have a purpose, I can get whatever I want.
No, I love that, brother.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So for me, obviously, it's a little different. My mother came to America chasing a better life for our family. And with that came a lot of sacrifices. The first time we came over was in Tijuana, Mexico. You and I were actually down there not too long ago, right? So came through there, came through that border, San Isidro, and came over illegally. We were only here for about a year down in Escondido. Escondido is a city in San Diego County. Didn't make it financially, went back to Mexico and stood down. We waited down there for a couple of years, kind of re-upped, right? Sent my mom over to Phoenix, where we are today. And then about a year and a half later, she brought me over first through a hole in the fence in Nogales, Sonora. And then she started my paperwork process in 1996. And then I got a work permit early 2000s, and then got a green card, permanent residency. And then eventually in 2012, I became a citizen of this country. And then I started my entrepreneur journey in 2013 once I felt safe enough and I was no longer really living in fear, right? I had a lot more certainty, and I went and chased the American dream in 2013. And, fast forward 11 years later, I've been able to accomplish, praise God, a lot, financially. But more importantly, I have the freedom of time for me and my family. And to me, that means the most.
Yeah, that's ultimately what's most important. That's what's most important to me, right? And I guess, what was the shift for each one of you where you saw that point? Because obviously when you came in for the first time in the country, you probably didn't see the life that Carlos Reyes has today. And it's probably similar for you. The life that you're living today, there was a moment that you didn't think that was possible. When did that shift take place that you realized that you could have anything you want in this country and more?
I know when it was for me. I mean, I never really felt like, I always kind of felt like I was born with everything. Like I had a loving family. I was born in the United States. I grew up in Connecticut. I went to a nice elementary school, middle school, high school. Like I had a very comfortable childhood. So I never really felt like I couldn't do anything. I just wondered how far I could take it. And when I was 18, I was kayaking one morning, took some mushrooms and watched the sunrise, and decided that No, it's true. And I realized at that moment that I could become one with the earth, and that it was malleable to my wishes and desires. And I just realized that if I just put my mind to it, I wouldn't rather be anybody but me with any other advantages than what I had. And I was like, I could do whatever I want. So that was the moment, interestingly enough. Yeah.
For me, it's like you come over here and you quickly realize, this is what people don't understand, right? We have it good here. And my objective since 2012, when I became a citizen, was I want to keep America, America. Like, I want to keep it good. When I came over here, it was like, dude, this is like the land of milk and honey. I mean, I came from poverty. I came from here. Let me tell you the kind of government I come from, right? The Mexican Revolution. The Mexican Revolution took place first and foremost, right, through Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa, right? Well, because the sitting president at that time decided that it was a good idea for him to re-elect himself 8 terms in a row. It was like 30 plus years.
Oh, that's wild.
You get what I'm like?
Can you imagine?
Hello,
Can you imagine if
right?
Biden was enough?
That's what I'm saying, right? So, that's where that was. And then shortly after that, right, what people don't understand is in my lifetime, the party, the sitting party, right, the dominant party was called the PRI, and they were there in power for 70 straight years. And then when one of our own people, a guy that came from nothing, that had good moral values, when he tried to run for president, his name was Colosio, right? He got shot in the head in Tijuana, in TJ. So that's the kind of corrupt government I come from.
That ironically, we're seeing a little bit of that.
Well, that's
America, right?
That's
yeah.
so.
Well, I always look at things. You're always finding the common ground in the middle, right? I think you got some people on one side. It's like, hey, we got to have our borders wide open. You got some people, we got to close them, lock tight, shut. But where do you think that middle ground is that we should be in the new modern day America, where at the end of the day, we don't know who's coming over the border? It could be the next 9/11 that's entering our country. Where do you think that middle is when it comes to the border policies and immigration?
Well, if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. So you have to have a process. And the thing that's the worst about the illegal immigrants is that they're jumping ahead of all the people that are waiting in line to do it legally. They're completely throwing it in the face of somebody
the process.
Yeah, of someone that spent 15 years to earn it and is probably more of a productive citizen than the next 100 people out of a group. And these people are just cutting the line. And not only are they cutting the line, they're making all the people that are waiting in line doing it the right way wait even longer as a result. So they're clouding it up. So I think the middle ground is all the people that came here illegally, just like Trump and Tom Homan said. Like, they have to go, especially the ones that are committing crimes. I mean, it's like, how is that?
That's where you start for sure.
I think there's over 2 million people that are in prison for committing crimes after they illegally came in. How are those people still here?
Oh no, absolutely.
So that would be a great place to start, and I think the rest of it will make itself clear as time goes on.
But when you think about that too, like one of the things you're saying there too, earned, right? You earn the right to be here. I think there's something. The muscle that you build in the process of earning, right? You earn the right to be in America. We earned what we have in our lives. We're a good steward of what we earned because we had to go through that journey, which created a profound level of respect and builds you into the person that I believe is destined to kind of wield that power, so to speak, that you get. But it's almost like the lottery mentality. What happens when somebody wins the lottery? They didn't earn it. They're like broke again overnight. Somebody comes into our country, they didn't earn their way in. They don't respect our laws. They don't respect our democracy. They don't respect free speech. And they're not contributors. And I think what we need in America, if we're bringing anybody in here, we need to be bringing in the best and the brightest, or at least people we put on a path to be productive, to be a contributor.
Here's part of the problem. It's no longer Mexicans that are coming over, right? Most Mexicans, and I know there's bad Mexicans, just like there's bad in any other, race, right?
Yeah. It's not families. It's not like single males you're seeing coming over.
Well, this is what I was going to tell you. There's people from Venezuela. There's people from Nicaragua. There's people from El Salvador, right? There's people from Colombia. It's not Mexicans coming over. Back in the day, it was like the 80s and 90s. It was like Mexicans were coming over to seek a better life, You know, they work the fields, work the jobs that nobody wanted. You know, we pretty much dominate the landscaping. Like you have a landscaper?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is he Mexican?
He is actually.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we dominate these industries, right?
Hardest worker, like all my contractors, the hardest worker.
That's
they show
what I'm
up,
saying.
They're most
right?
reliable.
Mexicans, we come in and we dominate construction, roofing, landscaping, restaurants. Like we're the ones that cook the food at Denny's. You know what I mean, right? So we have become a part of the American machine, right? And I'll tell you this: all those Mexicans that are working, whether even if they're working illegally, they still got to pay their taxes through what's called an ITIN. Did you know that? An ITIN, ITIN is it's a number that the IRS gives you to pay your taxes, even though you're not legal. You know what I mean? So the illegal Mexicans that are working, they still got to pay their taxes. Okay. This is what I would love to see at one point. Number one, get rid of all the criminals. Get rid of all of them. There's people, like Tom Holman was saying, there's millions of people.
We got Venezuela. They're entering our prisons, like at our border.
Yes. So there's millions of criminals that are here now. Start there. Get rid of all the bad actors, right? Immigrants, bad actors, right? Eventually, if you ever want any type of, I would say, amnesty, right? People that are earned hey, how long have you been here? Okay. How many crimes have you committed? Okay, none. Okay. You've been here 10 years. You haven't committed crimes. You've been paying your taxes for, 8, 9, 10 years. Okay. I think at some point, you got to create some kind of amnesty plan or.
That's one of the biggest things I worry about for my kid. I want to make sure that it's not married a liberal, right? So you're seeing that all on the female side, but what they're doing is you got like a pretty girl, attractive girl, and they're changing some of those men into a different ideology just to try to serve her, and then they're becoming the leader of the household that historically was a male-led household.
Yeah, my daughter, who's 12, in the future, when she's able to marry, right? When I allow her to marry when she's 30, 30, she can marry a black man. She can marry an Italian man. She can marry a Mexican. She can marry a white man. She just can't marry a liberal. That won't go very well during Thanksgiving. I think black people are waking up.
I think
black
so
people
as
are
well.
waking up.
It's just the women. You gotta get the women.
Well, what do we got? We got to get maybe Candace to run as a VP.
The sad thing is that we believe that is the thing. It's like it has to look a certain way, be a certain thing, and it's like hopefully people can move beyond that, where it doesn't have to be a woman to convince them that it's viable. Hopefully we can get there.
I think that was part of the problem too on the Democratic side, that there was a lot of people that were such Democrat loyalists that the Democrat Party doesn't exist anymore.
It's not Kennedy's
party
party anymore,
but they don't know where to identify, so they're still going down that lane that's not the same lane that they grew up in. And I think they're starting to all wake up and they're starting to see that. And I think that's what we really need to do in this administration. It's not eliminating that party, but how do we get it back to a true left-right situation where we're not this far apart ideological-wise, Ask of everybody at the end here is, as we're winding up, if you had a pen and you had the power of executive authority to make your own executive order in this country that would leave your lasting legacy behind, what would be on that document that you'd be inking that pen with to change the trajectory of something in America today?
Well, it would be tough, but I would put us back on the gold standard. I would eliminate the Federal Reserve Bank.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty significant. Because you'd only be able to spend.
We need some sort of stability, right?
It would only be able to spend what you had, because really our entire country is propped up on fake money, essentially, and we have to strong arm the entire world to. Now it benefits us because we're here, so that would be a tough thing. But that's the first thing that comes to mind.
This whole MAGA movement, Make America Great Again, and people are like, "Oh, when was America great?" Dude, do you not remember when we single-handedly came into World War II and prevented Hitler from taking over the world, right? You know what I mean? That's America to me, right? And I watch a lot of documentaries on World War I, World War II. We've come a long way. We've come a long way. And at the end of the day, that's what I would like. Whatever it takes to keep this, you talk about the gold standard, whatever it takes to keep this country at the highest standard possible, right? And you were talking about obviously from a monetary perspective, but I'm talking about just from a human perspective. Continue to be the leaders of the free world, but set an example. Get rid of all the BS, all the geopolitics around the world, and the little proxy wars, and you know what I mean, man, just lead by example with our own version of the gold standard or the highest standard. That's what I would like, so that my daughters and their kids and their kids' kids can continue to be part of this beautiful country moving forward.
Oh, I love that, man. Beautiful. And then last but not least is a question we ask at the end of every episode, each one of you. What does facts over feelings mean to you?
I think what it means to me is that there are things that are objectively, factually true. There's logic and reason, and then there's emotion that clouds all of those things from being clear. So if you believe that objective reality can supersedes any way that you might feel as a result of it, then you can get closer to the truth. So that's what it matters to me.
He's right. I think it's very simple. When emotions are high, feelings, logic is low.
Yep.
And I feel like that's what that's been a big part of this big part of the problem. Yeah. Emotions are high, logic is low, right? So
yeah, exactly.
That's been a big problem in America now for quite some time, and it's time for us to make that change.
All right, thank you everybody for listening. This has been another episode of Facts Over Feelings coming at you at Turning Point USA, AmericaFest.